My name is Caroline Poynton and I am recording Jeffrey and Richard because I am right when I keep saying what community. From Bury in Manchester, because there is no communities in Bury, Manchester. I haven't seen one. Don't know what the community is.
Hello there.
Hello there, Jeffrey and
Home
Richard.
Secretary Shamana Mahmood tells us there will be new legislation
She keeps
to
putting
tighten
everybody
the
in a
law on
bloody
protest and give the police more powers to prevent repeat protests interrupting society. And here's what she told Sky News.
The legislation that I'm going to bring about is based on the ability of the police to place conditions and restrictions on protests. And what I will be making explicit is that cumulative disruption, that is to say the frequency of particular protests in particular places, is in and of itself a reason for the police to be able to restrict and place conditions. That is to say they can move them to a different place, they can restrict the time that those protests can occur on, so that will unlock all of the broader measures that the police can already do on protests. It's been clear to me in conversations in the last couple of days that there is a gap in the law and there is an inconsistency of practice.
It's all a gap because you're not there anymore,
to put that right, and I will be reviewing our wider protest
well, you were been protesting before, so it's all the gap's not because she's not there.
The challenge that we face, which is protecting the right to protest, but ensuring that our communities can go about their daily business without feeling intimidated, and also that public order can be maintained.
Intimidated? Fucking damn right, jihadid come for us.
It's only taken government 2 years to get there, and over one of those whole years was under Labour. But being absolutely no doubt that had the Tommy Robinson Unite the Kingdom rallies been taking place once a month, let alone once a week for 2 years, they would have been shut down on month 3 permanently.
Straight fucking way.
But as ever, the human rights of the settled population come nowhere near those of the interests of the newcomers, especially those from a preferred demographic. And I wonder about the timing of all this. Just as the concerned Brits start finding their voice and making themselves heard, and suddenly the protest crackdown laws are announced.
So who they're cracking down on?
Funny timing that, don't you think, Richard?
No. Coincidence, damn it, coincidence. Absolute coincidence. And first of all, you lot press the like button before you do anything else. Right, press the like button. Have you done it? Right, great. Okay, well done. It helps us. Okay. So basically, she's given this Mahmood has given powers, extra powers to the police, which is wonderful, isn't it? We're all welcoming this year. I mean, you could tell that she's got our best interest at heart, really, isn't she? I mean, there couldn't be anything else going on in the background there. So these new powers mean that they can shut down gatherings just because they happen too often in the same place too often. But what constitutes too often, incidentally? What, is that once a year?
Once
is
a
that
day?
Twice a year? 3 times a year? What constitutes that? I mean, that's what we don't fully know at the moment. And this cumulative impact, that's an interesting turn of phrase. It's so vague, it can actually mean anything. It's just the cumulative impact of
on who?
Those people. Cumulative impact. It's cumulative impact. Cumulative impact. We all.
Community.
Yes. Oh, by the way, I'm singing a song about this, and I decided to do it in a rather dark style. Yes. So, Jeff, over to you.
Right. Okay. So these new laws will attempt to deal with the cumulative effects of incessant demonstrations on local communities. With the only examples so far of that type of protest being the woke-driven Pally protests attended by the usual suspects. You know, those who attended the incessant Just Stop Oil protests.
They've disappeared off the face of the
which for some reason appear to have completely fizzled out.
King Charles has disappeared, come out and condone the families either, has he?
are a more certain route to the destruction of the UK as a functioning sovereign nation.
And where's Sadiq gone?
I do have my suspicions on that one. And here was me thinking that the climate emergency was the most important thing to those people and their little gremlin boss, Greta Thunberg. But it seems Palestine is their obsession right now, though, doesn't it?
More important than the world.
The cremation of the earth doesn't seem to bother them anymore. Maybe it never really did. So what do you reckon, Richard?
There's no such thing in the fact.
Some good points there, Jeff, actually, yes.
Bullshit stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the real sort of target here in terms of this these new powers, I mean, it's not really violent mobs, is it? Which I find really strange. It's ordinary people who sort of keep showing up outside hotels and town halls and council offices. They are the target. That's what you have to remember. This is not about, any sort of far-right thuggery that they perceive, yes. I'm not going into that nonsense again.
So let's see how many Palestine ones will have going
and people can feel safe in their communities.
What community?
Which communities? Which people? Who specifically are you talking about? We're all doing fine, and we're actually quite liking a lot of these protests. There are some protests that we find distasteful, that we wish were not going on. I can tell you that. There's some protests I'm not very happy with right now, probably neither are you.
We're still on lockdown from coronavirus.
Anti-Semitic and racist at the end of the day, and call for the death of Jews. I'm not too happy about that.
No.
But that they could be easily dealt with. But no, there has to be
we have got the fart police on the other side.
Absolutely complete bull BS. Parity apparently between everything. Oh yes, between you, but it won't be parity, will it? You know what this is for. This is targeted towards the British people. This is nothing to do with,
jihad.
And they're trying to make up the timings about these Palestinian protests. That's what they're trying to make up, but they're not. It's not even doing that. In fact, I don't even know what they're trying to do. All I know is it's not going to work, and they think we're frightened of them. They actually think that we are frightened of them, or this government, of what they're doing. I'm sorry, you're not going to stop people from protesting by doing this. You're going to encourage it. That's what you're doing. You're actually throwing petrol onto the bonfire here. Jeff?
Yeah, it's quite interesting you should say that, because, the Palestine Action Group that is proscribed, and it's got all those supporters out there still supporting a prescribed organisation, lots of old people, like of about my age, for some reason supporting them. Anyway, here's what the Independent says about what the supporters of the prescribed group Palestine Action are actually saying. From the Independent, protesters backing Palestine Action vow major escalation in campaign amid crackdown. Defend our juries brand Home Secretary's plan to give police greater powers to restrict protests and extraordinary new affront to democracy. And they also said that a protest group campaigning against the proscription of Palestine Action as a terror organisation has promised civil disobedience in key cities and towns across Britain after the Home Secretary announced police would be given greater powers to restrict demonstrations. Defend Our Juries warned of a major escalation in its campaign after Shabana Mahmood's announcement on Sunday, which followed a protest held by the group on Saturday when there were almost 500 arrests. So you can see that certain people aren't going to give up. They don't think that the Home Secretary and the police have any real powers to stop them, do they? And now that the numbers of arrests have gone up, was it, 2,000 or something, I think, over those. It might be 1,000 or 2,000, I can't remember. They don't care. They don't care. What does it matter to them? They'll go to court, get a slap on the wrist, and off they go again. And for people of a certain age who aren't going to work, who own their own house, so what if they get a criminal conviction or whatever? Does it matter to them? Well, it might do when they go in for some car insurance or something like that, because they have to declare things like that. But yeah, we got to the stage now where the government is trying to stop both sides of the protest. In reality, they've got themselves into a real muck because they are trying to control society, and it's turning out to be uncontrollable because they've sidelined for decades. They've sidelined ordinary British people and favoured everyone else that comes here. And now that everyone that comes here has suddenly said, no, we want it's different. You have got to obey us now because we're the strong ones. And
yeah, but Jeff, there's more to this. I think there's more to this, Jeff. And I think timing could be interesting here. Now, let's just hypothetically say that this new peace deal between Donald Trump's proposal, where him and good old Tony Blair will be running Gaza.
King Charles.
Yeah. What if that works?
Yeah.
Are they going to be protesting then? Are the left going to be protesting then? Free Palestine. I'm not so sure. As soon as the killing stops in Gaza, as soon as that stops, they've got less ammo and less impetus to be out on the streets. I don't know. Mind you, a lot of them just do hate Donald Trump. Period, and anything, any kind of they might actually hate peace itself, regardless of anything. So. What I'm wondering though is maybe this has come along now because they can see that there could be peace in the future, less protesters on the Palestinian front.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to throw that one out there. Just a little bit of a curveball, that one.
AI chatbots, AI Google, and trying to say King Charles has not changed his religion.
At the end of the day, it's like
and
this,
there's no evidence.
You need to think of this because
and he has.
If the Palestine action protests slow down, then now would be the perfect time to bring such a thing in, because it would appear as if they're trying to stop the Palestine action and doing this with parity across the board. However, this is just targeted really towards the United Kingdom movement and to those people protesting outside hotels. I don't know.
What I said at the beginning, wasn't it? The timing of this gets me because it seems to be coming on just as we're finding our voice. That's what I'm saying. We're just finding our voice, just beginning to gain ground, and suddenly these laws come out. So I do wonder about the timing. Just a quick thank you very much to Rusty Nuts, another robot from the mothership. Thank you very much.
All about his treatment. He came out 3 weeks ago and had some dinner with fucking Donald Trump. He's fitting healthy enough then.
So I can't say her name properly. I've
amount
for
to the
about 4 days
about what's happened.
And earlier on I took some pretty industrial painkillers.
No, why
and
would
it's
you
a
when
good
he
job
changed
I
his
stuck to the
religion into being
recommended
a
dose,
Muslim?
isn't it?
Because he'd like to kill the Jews.
Yeah.
Yes.
He'd like to kill the Jews because he wants to
anyway, the Independent goes on a bit more because, yes, Palestine Action, its acolytes want carte blanche, really, to cause more damage in the UK. This is what Palestine Action did. They used to go and attack banks and attack what they saw as horrible defence companies and pour paint into aircraft engine, our Royal Air Force jet engines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the Independent went on to say that these moves comes after
no jail time for
488
them.
people were arrested for supporting Palestine Action in a vigil staged in Trafalgar Square on Saturday.
But have any of them been
bringing the
locked up
total number of arrests
in jail?
for defying the ban of the group
None of them have been
to
in jail,
2,000 according
in
to the
jail.
Department of Justice, which is quite a significant sort of
number,
isn't it? And he went on to say a spokesperson for the campaign group
none of them have been locked up in jail
said
for nothing.
it beggars belief that the government has responded to widespread condemnation of its unprecedented attack on the right to protest from the United Nations, Amnesty International, legal experts and even the former Director of Public Prosecutions by announcing a further crackdown on free speech and assembly in our country. This confirms what we've warned all along,
Yeah,
the proscription
Charles
of
is
Palestine
changing
action
fucking
was never
religion,
just
I don't know
about
where
one
Satan
group.
is all
It's
the
a
time.
dangerous, authoritarian escalation that
And
threatens
AI is trying to
everyone's
lie
right
and
to
con me out.
protest
AI
in
and
our
Google are
country.
trying to lie.
So
Because
they're actually
they're saying about the
saying
guidelines, which is Microsoft, isn't it?
that is
Which Bill fucking Gates.
it is a general thing, that it's
Operated Bill
across the
Gates
board,
operating their
and that may
guidelines.
well be the case.
Yeah.
But I don't think that
So,
these people would be worrying if
No.
the Unite the Kingdom protests were targeted in that particular manner, would they?
No.
I just don't think they would
They'd
at
love
all.
it.
They'd be saying
Yeah.
how wonderful it was.
Yeah. They'd be
Yeah,
loving
but
those,
these
I
are
thought
police
like they'd
powers.
done
This is
it.
what I'm thinking. These are specific
Yes.
police powers. Now, somebody could say something to the police, but it depends on who's in uniform on the streets on that day.
Nothing
You know, if
surprises
one
me
chap
no more.
happens to be left-leaning, he may go, sorry, this is all
I mean,
a bit
if I
too
was said King
disruptive, all
Charles
you
is in
people,
the
all you
fucking
lovely
Bible,
ladies in
and he's
pink
not
who are
even
here
English, he's a
protesting
fucking
because there's
German.
something rather dark and sinister
And I'm
been
the first
happening in your
person to
community.
tell him to get off our land.
There's no sort of,
This ain't
there's no
Islam.
court involved, there's no vote, there's no,
Get off
and
our
there's no real
pup.
recourse.
You
It's
get
just,
back to fucking Germany.
yeah, sorry, but yeah, it's a bit disruptive today. Yeah, it's the cumulative effect.
And
be careful that cumulative effect.
he
It can
also
creep up on
married
you in
his
the middle of the night,
cousin.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It accumulates.
Well, what's
It
called
does.
Camilla.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Incest. It's
The
in
thing
the
about
Bible,
that, as you
he's
point
done
out, that it
incest.
is police powers
He wants to be
It's
Hitler
another
and kill
way
Jews,
of the
so that's why he changed
politicians
his religion.
palming off political decisions.
Well,
on
King
the,
Charles is the one that's doing all
officials, on the
this
police.
international
It's
dialogue.
now up to the police to make the
International
political
fake
decision
dialogue.
of whether it is cumulative on the
But it's not very international.
on the local community.
He doesn't
So if the
wanna come out
local
and speak
community
for
gets
the Jewish
together and says
community
we're
now,
being
is it?
cumulatively
Exactly.
affected by this, instead of going to their local MP or to their
And
local
trying to
councillors,
smear us
and
as
now
having
go
treatment.
to the
He
Police
ain't
and
even
Crime
got
Commissioner
cancer, the liar.
and the Chief
Well,
of
if King
Police.
Charles is having treatment, where's his
Does
hospital
that
gown?
seem the right way to be doing this?
I'd like to see his hospital gown.
Somehow it doesn't to me.
No,
Politicians need to be taking more
They're all liars, mate.
responsibility
Yeah, they don't
for
want
their
to take-
actions.
neither
This
does
is a
King
way
Charles, this is what I
of
mean.
Shamana Mahmood and all her cronies, all the rest of them in there, making laws that affect you and me,
Or everyone.
and then
Anyone.
leaving it to other people to
Yeah.
pick up all the pieces
Pieces.
and try and keep the country together. It's their job to do that.
But they're not
Their
doing
job
it. King
to
Charles'
read
job
the
is
room,
to come out and
their
consolidate
job
the fucking
to
country.
decide when it's going too far, not just leave it to the police.
And he's not even done it.
So I
He's
reckon
not
it
even
will fall
been the
over.
king. He should
It
never
will
have been the
fall
king. He's
apart
fucking
on
Muslim.
that basis, I think, because it
Change his
shouldn't be the
religion,
police's
Muslim. No, he'll never
job
be
to
the
do
king.
that.
Yep.
That's just my
He
view,
lied,
anyway.
sworn on the Bible,
Mm.
and he was
Yeah,
already
well.
changed his religion.
It's
So
using the
that's
police.
sin in the
The police
Bible.
almost become
That's
like a
treason,
filter as well, because I'm
fraud.
sure they'll be given certain guidelines
Yeah.
in which to operate within. I'm sure those will be attached to this
Yeah.
new law, or potentially, even if that's not the case at the moment. So yeah, the police become a filter for society. What is deemed? I mean, this is the crazy thing. It's about the repetition of it and the frequency of these marches. But frequency and
These
repetition
Palestinian ones have
is
been
a
every
way
fucking
of
week,
the
haven't
masses
they?
expressing their dislike
Oh, yeah,
of something.
2 years.
Okay, so you've got a small portion of society who are protesting in these pally idiotic
Yeah.
marches, right? Fine, whatever, okay. They're doing that. They're just showing themselves up to be the idiots that they are.
Yeah.
And the anti-Semitism that's taking
Oh,
place
that's
there,
an
the
area
racist
that
chant,
we're
oh,
doing.
that's fine
Yeah.
apparently. But it's one of those weird
Standing
things.
up
I
and
find
saying
those
Palestine
protests
results,
absolutely
and they're
loathsome.
results.
However, you've got to sit back and you've got to think, well, they've still got a right to do it, haven't they? You know? And if they've got a right to do what they do, then so do we. We have the right to be able to protest. And yet, for some reason, we don't have that. There is two-tier application of justice here and interpretation of the law, I should say. A two-tier interpretation. That's a new one, Jeff. Write that
One
Oh,
one
for
down,
them
for
and one
goodness
for
sake,
us.
man. Yeah,
One rule for
that's
them
what's
and one
taking
rule
place.
for us. Like King Charles,
yeah,
one
I'm
rule
going
for
with-
him and one
Carry
rule
on,
for
Jeff.
everybody else.
Yes.
It's alright for it to
Someone's
sing
put
the
a comment
fucking
in here
Bible,
saying,
innit?
"Oh, Gary Neville, Gary Neville."
And God don't
I'll
want
just
to
point
get
out that
well,
Gary Neville made some extraordinary
fucking do one,
remarks
'cause
about
Goddy's gonna come and get him.
middle-aged white men.
Can't just sing the Bible
And guess
get
what
with
Sky
it.
News are doing about
Sly
it?
News, look, all of them.
Nothing. They've declared
Ah.
they're doing nothing about it. Nothing, not a thing.
Well,
I
I mean,
mean,
basically
damn
being
thing. No, you
professional.
said shit.
As usual from
Lee
the
Charles,
left, from the
none
lefty
of them
people.
are
just middle-aged
Anyway,
white men.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
shite.
yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
getting angry again.
Mhm.
Yes, when Mahmood, it's so you won't riot when Mahmood is installed as PM and the Islam flag waves above Westminster. No, I don't see the Islam flag being waving above Westminster. That's a bit down the line for them. But having Mahmood as Prime Minister would definitely send messages to the rest of the world, I think.
Well, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Hang on. What you mean? Like, I mean, is that about it being a Muslim prime minister? Which is nothing wrong with, of course. I can't be thinking that. Nobody can be thinking that or saying that. That's ridiculous. Of course, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's like there seems to be a lot of chatter about, for instance, Mohammed Zia Yusuf taking over from Nigel Farage. People are fine with that, so it's like, yeah, whatever, you know. And they seem to be okay. Oh,
then-
incidentally, speaking of which, I tell you what, the Tories are really laying in right now. There's something interesting going on in the Tory party at the moment. I'm not saying vote Tory, by the way, but let's acknowledge what's happening. You know, we have to debate these things and talk about them. It's like this. You've now got, well, even Farage himself predicted this. He said eventually, he said that we will be more to the left, or the Tories will be more right-wing than he will, than Reform will. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Well, now he's proven it, because they are coming up with policies that seem to be, in some respects, trouncing Reform's policies. But I'm sorry, I still think the Tories have a long way to go to regain all that ground. But this is the battle. The battle now is on the right. It's going to be a sort of like one-upmanship, isn't it? You know, you're going to have who can come up with the most appealing policies for the electorate. My goodness, how revolutionary a thought is that? Let's try and do something that the people
No, we
want.
don't really just want the appease.
No, don't do that. No, they won't do that. Anyway, the thing is that Farage has hitched his horse to the centre ground, and I think his thinking is that the Tories will swing right, marginalise themselves, and he will end up with right of centre policies, but capturing the Lib Dem type vote. But I'm not sure that'll happen, because the Lib Dems seem to be doing quite well on their own. All they have to do is put a leader in charge who does ridiculous things and prances about in front of a band, and they seem to love it.
Yeah.
So
It does seem like Farage at the moment has got an obsession with the centre ground.
yeah.
But I mean, Tony Blair. I hate saying that name. It's like, I feel like something creepy just touched me when I say that name. Anyway, I don't know why. But Tony Blair did say many years ago that general elections in Britain are fought on the centre ground and the middle ground. I thought, I used to think, yeah. But now I'm not so sure. I think the centre ground is, you know, it's a bit of a red herring.
No, actually, he's got a point. It's fought on the centre ground of the political views of the day, and what a politician's trick is.
Good point.
Good point. What it's the Overton window sort of concept is where are the people's views? Now, if the people's views are right of Attila the Hun, then that's where you've got to be. You know, and that's all you can really say. I just want to say thank you very much, Gary, playing for your super sticker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah. Jeff, I was enjoying seeing your head bobbing back and forth and side to side. That was a great movement. It was like that. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. You know, it's the painkillers. They're great.
Yeah, so there you go. Anyway, now, as I said, these Palestine action protesters have actually said that they will continue and they will up their campaign. So basically, they will up the campaign to allow them to protest in favour of what is in effect violent against property, and in a couple of instances been violent against people, organisation. I say keep your continual repeat protests off the street and fight your battle in the court first. They have done enough of all this out on the streets bit. Let's get through the court and see what happens, because that's what's going to happen to the rest of us. So, yeah. And the other protest that is spreading quite a lot is, as you mentioned earlier, Richard, the pink protests. And they're beginning to spread and get more frequent. So you wonder if they're going to be Mahmood's next target. Yeah. And the next pink protest is in Tower Hamlets tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock. In response to the Tower Hamlets Council debate in their chambers tomorrow evening, all based on the premise that the pink protesters and the Fly the Flag movement are far right. So what they're going to do is turn up in Tower Hamlets, lots and lots of women dressed in pink outside the council building. The address is out there, and protest against it. I don't know whether you've seen what the Tower Hamlets sort of council are saying. Basically, anything that doesn't agree with them is and doesn't agree that having 90 languages amongst the people of one constituency is a marvellous thing, is a racist, and oh dear. And they even have.
I don't get this.
They also talk about immigration is wonderful, blah blah blah, all the rest of it, and then they say, but what we're going to vote for is local jobs for local people. Not very diverse, do you think? But there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I mean, local people. Who are the local people they're talking about? That's the thing.
Exactly.
But locals are locals, ladies and gentlemen, and don't you forget it.
I ain't fucking
Yeah. Oh, Lord Viking says, good evening, gents. Good evening, Lord Viking.
Good evening, Lord Viking. Good evening to everybody in the chat as well. It's lovely to be here and see you all. Great, fantastic. And I mean, it is lovely to see you all.
Great people
here. Now,
I don't want to come out and speak.
Camo Adventure World says the police don't even know their own powers. They're useless. Yes. I think we got to the position where the law is so complicated in most areas, from tax to local council to criminal law to court procedures. They're all so full of procedures that no one is allowed to actually use their common dog sense. If you see what I mean, they're not allowed to use common sense. You have to follow these rules, and this does lead to people making mistakes and silly mistakes because they can't apply common sense. So the first thing that comes into their mind is something that's common sense. But then they think, obviously, that can't be true because all the laws of the land are not common sense. We need to get back to common sense policing, common sense laws, so that when people make a judgment, then you can sort of see it for what it is. It's not a tick box exercise. It's not a DEI exercise. It's not, putting one section of society above another. And that's where we're at right now. It's just not right.
Not right.
Yes, as CR says, there are a bunch of thugs in high vis now. You sort of look at it and you go, oh, come on, Scout Finch, come on. Oh, dearie me, we could never agree with that, could we, Richard?
We have a terrorist organisation.
I remain silent.
Well, we've been called a pair of boiled eggs before, so yeah.
Well, we've been called everything. I don't care.
All things,
yeah.
Robert Jones says Sadiq Khan is in charge of the Met Police. Do you honestly think he will tell them to stop the Pally protests?
Charles, now is it?
Yeah, exactly. You have to look at people and see them. And just ask yourself the question.
Hang on, Jeff. If they do try and stop the Pally protests, like really, we know the people are involved in this now. We know what's going on. All right, we know the attitude of many of the people there. Okay, and what they're prepared to do that us on the so-called right or whatever, far right, hard right, I don't know, I don't care what they call us anymore. But anyway, they're prepared to do things that we would never do. We have seen this. We have seen this time and time again. We have seen what Palestine Action have been getting up to that thing. And yet there's still people out there saying they support it and they're part of it. It's like, okay, all right. I wonder how long their jail sentences will be, but that's another matter entirely. Even for being in, supporting proscribed terrorist groups, but it appears as if they're going to be getting away scot-free.
Yep.
But we all know what will happen. It's going to be very interesting if they do try and stop some of these marches because of their frequency. I mean, yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Things could turn pretty nasty, I think. Unfortunately, we don't want nastiness on our streets of Britain, but unfortunately, Britain has become a very different country, ladies and gentlemen, to the one which I grew up in, and that Jeff grew up in, and probably most of you watching grew up in. This is no longer that United Kingdom, but we're going to bring it back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do it. We're going to stay positive. We're optimistic. We're going to do it. We're going to do it with various different means, but the main form is through the political system, through Advance UK. We are hoping, because Ben Habib came out today and he said, it's interesting how I think is it Farage and Kevin Bacon have both agreed to continue, I believe, payments to EU benefits payments to EU citizens in the UK. However, Advance UK will stop those benefits to EU citizens. I think, was it 1.5 million, is it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's a lot. There is a lot.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing I will say, just to, I'm right behind Advance UK, and I hope they've thought the way through, is that under the Brexit agreement that we came to, we have to pay benefits because they pay benefits for our people over there. And it's a quid pro quo thing. If we stop that, I don't know what the repercussions are. Maybe Advance UK have got something I don't know about, but I just do put that in as a sort of...
But here's another thing though, Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff, at the end of the day, let's think about it rationally. Why should other countries pay for benefits of our citizens?
Oh, sorry.
Let's be realistic about this. Why should they? What for what reason?
Yeah.
What obligation is there
it was
for
only
French
ever
people to pay
there.
for? Yeah.
Oh, no,
It was only ever there because the EU wanted to become its own state. And then everybody in there gets equal treatment, equal pay, everything was going to be the same for everybody. And there would be no country. In fact, under the EU, they were already trying to dismantle our states by doing the flags down, weren't they? You must fly our flag, not your flag. Put your flag on your number plates. Put the EU flag on the number plates. Put the EU plaque on every new building and every new bridge. That's what they were saying. So that everybody thought this is all EU and nothing to do with the nation states that were part of it. So they were vilifying our flag for years before we got to this position. And that's a lot to do with it. It's been vilified already to get people here and treat it as an internationalist area of the world.
I've got to say, Go on.
So I'll just say thank you to Bar Stewart, talking about the recall of MPs Act 2015 Use It. I did see a comment, it probably might be from Bar Stewart earlier on, talking about you only need 10% of voters to trigger. The first thing that has to happen is they have to have committed quite a high offence legally before the Speaker is allowed to put forward a petition, a recall petition, to allow it. So they've got to go to prison or something like that, or act so badly in the Houses of Parliament they get thrown out, that sort of thing, before the Recall Act can actually be used. So, but it has caused a few by-elections, when people are being guilty of all sorts of nasty offences against women and stuff like that.
I mean, Starmer's, I'm just reading the Telegraph here, Starmer's aide blocked China spy trial despite MI5 evidence. I mean, that alone should, in a decent society and in a fair society, should trigger a general election, I would have thought. But
Yeah, that should. There's things like that which now ministers and prime ministers and politicians, they just go, I don't care. I've got a job. I'm a minister. I get lots of pay. I'm not going to rock the boat. What has morals and being a grown-up statesman got to do with that? I've got a pension to feed. You know, it's that sort of thing. Also, thank you to Fat Cat. Can we call you Jeff the Film? I'm not quite where that came from. Jeff the Film.
Yeah. That's a good. Well, why not call him? Yeah, he's now Jeff the Film. Absolutely. Yeah. Why not? It's a good name. So I'm just reading the Express here. The headline is "Take That, Nigel. Kerry Badenoch has just proved why reform don't stand a chance." I'm like, you are. Haven't you seen the polls? I mean, you know, this is talk about being biased. My goodness. I mean, you'd swear. No, I can't actually say that this was paid for, but you know, you mean, well, somebody's just got very strong feelings for the Conservative Party, quite clearly. But there is a little bit of merit. There is a smidgen little of merit in that, because the Tories are going to be staging a comeback now. They're not going to go without a fight. They're not going to go down without a fight. I can tell you now, it's going to happen. And as I said, it's going to be strange. It's just going to be quite an exciting time politically, because it's like you're going to see everyone trying to shift to the centre, as you rightly said, of this Overton window as it moves more to the right, and then you've got Ben Habib booting a pair of them up the backside, saying, "Not that, no, further, move it further, move that window further, yeah, rubbish, absolute rubbish, yeah, keep going."
Yeah, that's why I like him. Yeah. Now, Edward Goldentooth has his firm ideas about. I believe that's our Home Secretary. I can't put that one up because Mammut is a dirty something. Would be a bit. Could be
so we can't.
racist by some people.
Yeah.
But we do acknowledge. Thank you very much.
Well, we can't put that up. I'm really sorry as well. But you know, we can't be putting anything that can be construed in any way as that. So because we're very, very good in the Jeff Taylor channel. Yes, and we are Online Safety Act compliant, and
Yes, I'm trying to look something up right now, Richard, which I don't think I've ever seen before.
Well, you're not Googling yourself again,
right,
are you?
sorry, right, I get this now, sorry. This is Fat Cat again, let's have a look, talking about Jeff the Film. And he's saying that it's Jeff the Film like Jones the Steam, get it? And I had to quickly look
up. Jones the Steam. I know Jones the
Steam is the cheerful and kind-hearted engine driver from the children's TV series Ivor the Engine.
Ivor the Engine.
Me, cheerful and kind-hearted? You don't know me at all.
Hey, do you remember Ivor the Engine? You remember?
Oh, yes.
That was the sound effect of the train going. Somebody was going.
We know that, Richard. Yeah, he got that.
It was brilliant. It was like, wow, listen to that train go. You know, as a kid, you thought, oh, it's enthralling. These days, it's all, you know, whatchamacallit, CGI and all that sort of nonsense.
Yes. Anyway, I will say that you may have missed it, but today 3 men who pleaded guilty to offences committed outside of an Epping Asylum hotel have all been sent to jail for 22 to 28 months, and so got longer behind bars than the male small boat arrival who assaulted a 14-year-old girl in the town. Now, a lot of people are up in arms about that. However, I will say for completeness, and despite some people's strong feelings, I will add that according to the Mail report, the 3 men jailed today did have previous violence-related convictions. So bear that in mind, and that's why Tommy Robinson is absolutely focused on convincing those who wish to do silly things to stay away. And he's right. And it's just a pity that got into the Epping, because I've been to 3 of those, and it's normally it's quite high spirited, but I've never seen any violence there myself. But I can't stay all night, so I usually go quite early, having sort of covered sort of from 6 till 8 or something. So I don't know what goes on after that. But I would just put that in for completeness. People won't want to hear it, I know, but the main thing is we need to keep people who are that high-spirited or have previous, we need to keep them away, because it just tarnishes everything. And Tommy knows that. He's absolutely adamant about that every single time. Anyway, so
hang on a second, Jeff.
said,
Yeah,
"We
Lord
are
Viking just
English."
now. Yeah, hang on. Lord Viking just said, hang on, it's more like, not my Jones' Steed, you're more like, what's his name called, a Steed, is it, from the Avengers, which actually makes me Mrs. Peel. So, no, I am not Mrs. Peel, thank you very much. Lord Viking, you are in my bad books.
Yes, Steed with his umbrella. I've got an umbrella. I have to bring that next time when I.
Yeah. And thank you to
and it's got
Chris. Chris Luke Zumandis for your contribution there. Thank you, Chris. That's much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also to Edward Goldentooth, who now says never plead guilty, fukum. That is part of the problem. So that when you get in for some of these offences, they will try to make it easy on the judge, make it easy on everybody. Just plead guilty, and you might get let off a bit easier. That never seems to happen to people of a certain persuasion, if you get my drift.
Mm.
Yes. Well, just trying to see. Oh dear. Comments, I can't keep up with them. I'm way behind. Oh yeah, we did a video on this the other day, didn't we? Lord Viking, Lammy booed out was marvellous. We did a. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I'd love to show
that was poetry.
I might have the video somewhere. I'd love to show it again.
Yeah, that was poetry. That really was. That was amazing.
It really was. I mean, his total attitude was just
disgusting.
Disgusting.
It's horrible.
Absolutely disgusting.
Yep,
I mean, there he was trying
David
to
Smith.
make out.
Yeah.
King Charles hasn't even
as
been
if he
out
was there with some
because he's
compassion.
changed
There
his
was some
religion.
compassion.
I tried to
Yeah,
lie.
no emotion, did he?
Starmer turned up, I believe, in Manchester.
He's not changed his religion.
However, he didn't meet any of the crowds because he knows what the reaction would have been. He was too much of a coward. And that's our Prime Minister, that's the leader of this country.
Shitbag of the fucking
in some ways, and a mild,
shitbag of the government.
respectful.
Fucking hell, we have got nothing on there.
What's his name? David Lammy turning up there.
Platform
Because he actually knew, he was the fall guy, he took the flak. I thought, oh, fair enough, nobody likes you. And everybody there was rightfully venting their spleens at him. But yeah, sorry, carry on, Jay.
It's quite funny because, as you say, he was there and he... And right at the beginning, he was being heckled before he even started. And the person who's trying to introduce him turned round and had a chat with a couple of people. Obviously, I think they're asking him, do you really want to continue with this? And he said, yes, I do, I will, So I thought, that's interesting. In fact, shall I play it?
Do you have to? I can't listen to his voice again. Oh.
No, I'll play the first bit. Just the first bit.
Go on. Oh yeah, go on. Yeah.
Let's see if I can find this. Then at least you'll get what we're talking about. I found it, and I've got to upload it. Silly me.
This is Jeff and Jeff Technology, ladies and gentlemen. We had some fun.
You talk.
Prime Minister David Lammy, and before I do, please, we know how we all feel.
Oh yeah, they did.
to Palestine.
He was alone! They allowed him! They allowed him to work on the plane! A children's school was closed today! You have allowed this to happen! You're blood in your hands! You're all guilty! I mean, all you have allowed 2 acres in Manchester on the street! You have allowed it! You are all guilty! You do not want this speaking here today! You do not want this Shame on you! Shame on you!
Shame on King Charles. Shame on them. Shame on him. Shame on Charles as well.
You see, when he wants to come out.
Don't forget about King Charles.
We've heard enough. We've heard enough. We know how you feel. I know how I feel. Let's give the time for our Deputy Prime Minister to address us. David Lammy.
Yeah. Yeah, just to remind people, he
As I
wasn't
said previously,
well liked for turning up. Yeah.
Yes, probably the warmest welcome he's had outside of the Labour Party Commons, as I said last time.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, just something in The Guardian has grabbed me as well, Jeff.
What? Say that
In The
again?
Guardian.
Say-
Yes, in The Guardian.
In The Guardian.
Yeah. That right. Robert Jenrick complained of not seeing another white face in part of Birmingham. Oof, the racist. Shadow Justice Secretary criticised for suggesting he could tell how integrated Handsworth was based on a short visit. Robert Jenrick complained about visiting an area of Birmingham where he didn't see another white face and said it was not the kind of country he wanted to live in.
Anymore.
What a racist, what an oaf. Must be far right, Jeff, I reckon. After highlighting the lack of white people, the Shadow Justice Secretary said, it was not about the colour of your skin or your faith, and he wanted people to live alongside each other. Okay. Jeff, it's just, I have to be careful what I say in this.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't possibly agree with Robert Jenrick, not for one moment could I absolutely not know, under no circumstances. Oh, it does here. However, he has been criticised by the area's MP for suggesting he could tell whether Handsworth was properly integrated based on whether there were any white people living in the area during a 90-minute period. There's lots of things I could say here, Jeff, but I can't for some reason.
Well,
I can't remember why I can't say it.
I'm going to say what people should be saying is, why has this thing called white flight occurred? Surely, in a properly integrated nation, we should be trying to reverse that and getting the mix in the cities the same as it is outside the cities, so that we have the same sort of proportions throughout the country.
No,
But
racist.
the only people who ever get vilified are those not living in the cities. They're the ones vilified for not having a mix. No one else does. And that has to change. It has to change. We need people to go back and want to go back to live in London, in Birmingham, Bradford, Manchester and places like that. It must happen for cohesiveness. How's that?
I think that's a bit of an outlandish thing to do, actually, Jeff. You know, you'd have all these. So what you're saying is there should be, it should be like a BBC, a BBC film or period drama where everybody is there's an equal proportion of each. Actually, no, the BBC there's not. There are less white people in BBC dramas and documentaries and films because, as we all know, there were much less white people going back 300-400 years ago living in Britain. That's fact.
And there are now.
Oh, hang on. Yeah. Because that's why you see so much of this. I mean, you know, it's just, again, this isn't about the thing. It's just even talking about this. Some people will say you're being racist. I'm like, I'm just trying to be factual and look at historical, the correct representation in history in period dramas, and what's wrong with that? But no, I mean, as I said, I think, you know, we definitely need to have the BBC bring Lawrence Fox back into the fold, and they should do a new film of Gandhi where Lawrence Fox plays Gandhi. I'm convinced that will be a winner. It'll be really good, you know, because why can't Lawrence Fox play Gandhi? What's wrong with that? You know, I think
because he's not a female.
Ah, yes, that's spot on. That is. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So Lawrence Fox may be in a dress playing Gandhi, might be historically, you know, well, it's all going to be equal, and you know, represent, you know, the feelings and the mood of the nation. Yeah.
Now, as I've said this one before, but it always does tickle me, so I'm going to say it again. The most interesting exercise in filmmaking today would be a rerun of Zulu, because you'd have to replace the upper crust English officers. You'd have to change the Welsh soldiers and the Zulus around, but somehow the Zulus would still have to win. You get the idea how difficult it would be to make Zulu today. It would be impossible. You know, you'd have Welsh Zulus, wouldn't you? It would be a nightmare trying to make that film. It would just be impossible.
No, we should have, you know, just because one person's one colour doesn't mean you can't play another. You know, it's like, you know, if like David Lammy, once he finishes in politics, he could play Churchill, couldn't he? Yeah, that'll work. That'll work really well, I think. Yeah, we could do a film on you know.
What I'm trying to say is that which side would have to win, or no, actually it'd be a draw, wouldn't it? They'd have to have a draw.
Yeah.
And then have a big come-by-our thing around the fire at the end. That's how it would have to end.
Yeah.
And that is historically correct.
Yeah, and Diane Arbut could play Einstein in a film about his life. Or
Yes,
their
absolutely,
life.
yeah.
Their life. They, them,
Yes.
life. Yeah.
Oh, this one's so true. What does this button do? It is hard to find a loo in a zoo. Actually, I find it hard to find a loo in a place like London, especially during a demonstration. It's
So you get it?
really quite
It's a
difficult.
Zulu, isn't it? It's a Zulu.
Yeah.
You want to be careful where you go as well. If you listen as well, if you're in a zoo, be careful where you go. You make sure you go to an actual toilet, and you don't want to be doing stuff like that in the, you know, in the lion enclosure. You know,
Well, it's not the lion enclosure; it's a snake enclosure that would worry me.
Oh,
Mating snakes and things, you know.
all right, Jeff. Yeah.
John Baxter says I'm going to go watch Zulu. Oh dear me. I'm going to go watch Zulu now. Yeah, I've got it, so I've got the film Zulu somewhere. I'll have to go and dig it out. It's a brilliant film. Brilliant. Oh dear. Actually, here's is it Jock or Jack? Jack says, I once had a friend nicknamed Zulu whose real name is Zulfikar Hussain. Now I can imagine that going back in the day, because I was in the Royal Navy and the Army was the same, Royal Air Force. It didn't matter. I mean, it's not just about colour, it's also about, you know, the things you called the Welsh and the Scots and the Irish, and they'd call you back. And when foreigners came, they'd call you things, you'd call them things. But it was all brilliant fun, and we loved it. We loved each other. You know, there was never any acrimony in it at all. So,
No. It's quite funny
It's
because
all
I
the
think
people.
about growing up in the South Wales Valley, so I down in Merthyr Tydfil, Okay, so down there we had ripping the Mickey out of each other, we'll call it, down to an art
Yeah.
form. We would tear each other apart, and it was but that was the way the world was back then, and people didn't take things to heart, and if the thing is, if somebody says something offensive, it's like, okay, so that's offensive. Does that mean it should be illegal because it's offensive? It's like, oh, I didn't like that, I'm offended. So if we've got a society then is living in a permanent, constant state of offence, you can't do or say anything. It's like comedy today. Comedy's gone rubbish. Comedy is now utterly unwatchable. It's not funny because humour tends to be where something is the butt of the joke, okay? But
Yeah.
if something to be the butt of the joke today, that will cause offence. It's like, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I get it. Yes, it is very, it is very difficult nowadays. Fun and all the rest of it. Yes. Zulu is on YouTube.